Hey guys, Will here and welcome back for part 4 of my Ultimate Commander vlog. So we are now on Thursday, 2 days before the tournament, and I've pretty much got everything ready to go. The list is sorted, all the models are painted, and I pretty much know what I'm doing. So yeah, just want to show you where we're at, and then the next video will either be a quick look at some of the other armies that are going there, or possibly the next thing you'll see will actually be me talking about the tournament and how it went and showing you some of the stuff that went on. So first thing I want to talk about is the list. I had been umming and ahhing as to whether to include Striking Scorpions or Wraithguard. And in the end I decided the best way was to test it out. I had a few games with the Wraithguard, and then I sort of had one the other night with the Striking Scorpions. Now they did alright, they soaked up a lot of firepower from Tom's Grey Knights, but in the end that's all they really did was soak up firepower. They didn't actually do a lot of damage. They made it into combat with his purifiers, although that was not on their terms. They got charged because, being infiltrators, they can't charge on turn 1. So I was put in a situation where he could charge me and I couldn't charge him. And yeah, they lost. Killed 1 or 2 on the way down, but they didn't do the job very nicely. However, I did win the game. That went really well. In the end, he only had about 3 models left on the board, and the Eldar as a whole working really well, but I just didn't think the Scorpions did the job. So for that reason, and a couple of others which I'll come on to in a moment, I'm going to go with the Wraithguard. 5 of them in a Wave Serpent with Wraith Cannons, and to that unit I'll also be attaching my Spirit Seer, who has performed generally rather well of late with Psychic Shriek, meaning that he's more than just a buff character now, he can actually do some serious damage. So yeah, the other 2 reasons for including the Wraithguard are firstly the style of tournament being fairly high points value and allowing Forge World stuff, and just knowing what's in the list. Some of the people I've seen, I'm expecting to come up against some Lords of War, things like Wraith Knights, Imperial Knights, and you could in theory get away with taking a Warhound Titan to this tournament because Forge World stuff is allowed. It's essentially anything that GW prints, so I might be up against super heavy tanks for all I know. 1 second. That's better. Yeah, so I'm going to need those D weapons to deal with these really high resilient targets. And secondly, there's been some people saying, oh, your army looks really nice, you know, you might get best painted. Now, personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's some armies that are going to be there that really do outdo mine. But, you know, the Wraithguard do look nice and might just up my odds. Like I say, I'm not expecting best painted, but, you know, I've given it my best shot and we'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah, that's the list sorted. So if you want to see the whole list, have a look at my battle report with the Khorne Demonkin, because that's exactly the list I'm using. 3 min squads of jet bikes, Farseer on a jet bike, Spirit Seer, Falcon Grav Tank, Wraithguard in a Wave Serpent, and then the 2 aspect hosts, Dire Avengers on foot, Dire Avengers in a Wave Serpent, Fire Dragons, Swooping Hawks, Warp Spiders, and Dark Reapers, and that's 1850 points. So yeah, that's me all set to go. Now I'm going to show you the models that I finished painting to bring my army up to the full 1850 points for the tournament. So you remember from my last video, these Swooping Hawks were the last models I needed to finish off, and as you can see, they are now done. Looking really nice. The highlight colour, the pure white onto the Ulthuan Grey worked well, and I've finished off the bases as well. You see here I've used slate to fill up the bases a bit. The thing with the Swooping Hawks is that the foot is a very small contact patch, which leaves the rest of the base looking very bare, so putting those slate bits on just helps to fill up the model a bit. Also gives them some weight because they're a little bit top heavy. The wings, although the whole model is fine cast, do mean they're a little bit unstable, but the bases help to, well, the weight of the slate on the bases helps to bring them back into line. I have used the transfers to get the little swooping hawk symbol on top of each helmet, except the Exarch, who I had to freehand because the transfer doesn't actually fit on the space allowed on the helmet. It's like the angle is too sharp. But yeah, pleased with how they've turned out. I know someone in one of the comments mentioned possibly me doing a painting tutorial on those. Yeah, certainly be fun to do. Unfortunately, I was already too far into them to do them as a tutorial at that point. But if I get some more of them, then yeah, I'll be sure to show you what I'm doing with them. So that's the Hawks finished up, and the other thing I mentioned I might do is my Grav Tanks. Basically, they were all done in a fairly sort of nice basic colour scheme, but what I've done now is bring them up to a bit more of a higher standard. I've done all this thorn work with freehanding on them, and that's on all three of my tanks, my Falcon and both my Wave Serpents. And that was just done in basically the same way as I did the jet bikes, if you've seen my tutorial on that. So just freehanding in Abaddon Black, and for that I just, to make it up to Grav Tank size, just used thicker lines for some parts of it, particularly near the base of the thorns, and I've given them some extra transfers with the Biltan symbol and just a few other little embellishments here and there to make them look really nice. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at with the army. It's all done and good to go. I've also made these, which are little jink markers. I've been having trouble remembering which vehicles have jinked and which ones haven't. I guess it's a decision you make in your shooting phase, but you then have to remember it for your next shooting phase. Sorry, you make the decision in your opponent's shooting phase, and then have to, you know, it affects you in your shooting phase. So having these little markers is just a nice little reminder of who's jinked and who hasn't. They're just Warhammer Fantasy bases, painted in Caliban green, and then with jink written on them in moot green, just as a little extra reminder. So yeah, that's where we're at. All good to go. Like I say, just 2 days time now. Might put another video out tomorrow night, which will be Friday, just looking at what some other people have got planned, depending on how tomorrow night goes down the gaming club. Not quite sure what will get done. And then, yeah, stay tuned for coverage of the tournament itself. I'm going to sort of look at how my army's doing, but also some of the other armies. I'm sure there'll be some really nice paint schemes there to show you. And yeah, we'll see if we can and sort of keep track of how the top performers are performing. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.